The Tampa Bay Lightning have come to terms with Anthony Cirelli. We're going to discuss their cap situation and if we will see a trade or not. Obviously, even with Kucherov out, there's still a lot of number juggling here that they're going to have to do to be cap compliant. And it appears as though all 7 Canadian teams will be able to open up at home in their arenas. We'll discuss all the latest news coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, we had another big signing today. The Lightning are finally done with the signing part of the equation when it comes to getting their roster ready for the 2021 season. But even though they have some bad news with Kucherov, good news for cap purposes, it's still not a perfect scenario, and we're going to have to see some subsequent moves to make things cap compliant. So Cirelli signs a 3-year bridge contract at $4.8 million, essentially the same deal we saw them sign Mikhail Sergachev to. So not a huge, really surprise. The Lightning got a pretty fair bridge contract for one of their top RFAs. They've been able to do that for a long time, dating back to Stamkos, Kucherov, Hedman, and all those guys. It's something they've been really good at doing and getting players to buy into for quite a while. So no huge surprise there. Good contract for Cirelli. They needed him signed. Obviously, he's a big part of their team, especially with Kucherov being out. You know, they need other players to step up even more, and Cirelli is a big part of that. Now, problem is, though, even with Kucherov's $9.5 million going on long-term injury reserve, they're still way over the cap by more than his contract. So they're going to have to see a subsequent move here. Now, it is possible they could put more players on the taxi squad, which means some players might have to go through waivers to get to there, which means that they may not necessarily have to trade anybody. If they clear waivers, they go on a taxi squad. Problem solved, at least in the short term. But I would think the Lightning would want a little bit more breathing room, and that perhaps they would be more likely to trade somebody out to become, more cap compliant, as they need to be there before opening night on January the 13th. So we will see what they decide to do. There's still a lot of talk that at least one player could be moved out, and it's difficult to say who that is. I know their first choice would be Tyler Johnson, but there's been so many talks and rumors about what has been going on with him and what he might be willing to waive for or not. It's not going to be an easy scenario, but it'll be interesting to see how the Lightning handle this situation with their cap situation. And putting Kucherov on long-term injury reserve is not going to be the end-all, be-all that saves their situation here and kind of allows them to not trade anybody. Either that or they're going to have to go with a really shortened roster, which is an option, but to me it's risky. I think if they don't make a trade before the start of the season and they figure out a way to move players down through waivers, and actually, they're going to have some decent contracts sitting out to make that happen, then that just puts them in a situation where as the year goes on, it might be proved more difficult to make trades as teams might find solutions in other areas. And, when the Lightning come calling trying to trade a Johnson or a Killorn or somebody, there really might not be a whole lot of interest out there. So we will see how they handle that, but let me know what your thoughts are, what kind of moves the Lightning can make to become cap compliant. Do you still see a trade happening? Or do you see them going with a reduced roster and maybe putting a player or two that you normally wouldn't see through the waiver wire and have them risk being picked up for nothing? Now, as I mentioned as well, we do have news that it looks as though the Canadian teams are all going to be able to open up and play in their NHL arenas. Now, of course, the NHL insiders are reporting that it looks as though the NHL has the green light to be able to do that. They did have to make some tweaks to their plan, make some different concessions back and forth here, but right now, that's how things are looking. So that's excellent news on that front. Obviously, we had heard from the different provincial authorities in the last couple of days. Of course, you get the Sens and Leafs both in Ontario, and they're battling a major crisis here provincially and federally. So I think the Health Canada and the provincial authorities might not have seen it as urgent of a need to get this ironed out as the NHL did, which is why it kind of took so long. But obviously, we'll have to wait for a further announcement when it comes to the NHL, perhaps, what agreement exactly they had to make. But obviously, if you can get, the Canucks, the Flames, Oilers, Jets, Sens, and Leafs, and Habs all in their buildings, that's certainly going to be much better news. I would be highly doubtful that any of them will be allowed fans, though I can't see that happening, considering the hoops they had to go through just to be able to get them to play in their home arenas. Maybe as things go, as things change, obviously 4 of those teams will make the playoffs. I would think that the owners especially will be really optimistic that by the time we get to that point in May, that they'll be able to have at least some fans in the arena, because they're going to really be crying for some more extra revenue. I mean, the helmet ads is only a small piece of the puzzle here, and might not go all that far to helping them recoup what they've lost. So We will see, but it is some good news that the Canadian teams can play at home. The NHL will be able to proceed with their schedule from what we've seen so far, and training camps are not all that far away, and we're bound to get some more trades and signings here between Christmas and New Year, so stay tuned. We'll keep you all up to date on all the latest NHL news. It's quite possible that you won't see a new video tomorrow where it's Christmas Day, but we'll pick back up on Boxing Day and certainly kind of go from there. Depends on what there is for news, though. If something really major happened, there certainly could be a video discussing it, but otherwise, we'll be back on December the 26th. I hope you all have a terrific holiday, regardless if you celebrate Christmas or not. Regardless of what you celebrate, I hope you're having a great time with family and friends. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate it. And I hope you have a terrific holiday. Thanks again for all the support throughout 2020. As I mentioned in a community post earlier, today we were able to hit a bit of a Christmas present early here from YouTube. We hit a 16,000 subscriber milestone, which was great to see. Earlier in the month, we had passed 5 million total views on the channel. So it's kind of like the gift that keeps on giving here. Growing this community has been an awesome experience for me. You're all a big part of it. I thank you very much for the support. I love each and every one of you who take the time to comment and like and share. It really goes a long way. The engagement on the channel certainly helps it grow, and I can't thank you enough for all the support we've had throughout this rather difficult year. Hopefully we go into 2021 with some brighter things to look forward to than what we've had to deal with so far. Hopefully we see the light at the end of the tunnel for what 2020 has dealt us so far. So again, thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'll catch you all next time.